Hello, everyone. Today, Learn to Dragon 4 Masters of Lore with me, Merrick, your wonderful leader, President of Dragon. And we have Rekhui. Is that how you pronounce your username?
Yes, yes. Nobody has ever pronounced it right on the first time, so that's really cool.
How would you like to be
Uh,
addressed today? Who are you? What are we doing here?
um, you can call me Rakui. My name is Caitlin Bravo. First year at Davis. I'm in the dorm. I don't
Okay.
know if I should do like the whole like spiel though. It's okay.
Just give us a little some background on what your experience with tabletop role-playing games are and the club, if you can.
Oh yeah. I started going to the club winter quarter. But as for TTRPGs, I was the president of the D&D club at my high school and the founder, along with my boyfriend, who's in the other room. Um, I from then I think I was playing like 3 or 4 years, but now I have I've lost count. I know I've been playing since like middle school.
Nice. All right.
So
So today we're going to be talking about this is the Masters of Lore episode, but more importantly, we're going to be talking about character design, character creation, and also all kinds of stuff. So let's get this started. Uh, let's start with a simple question. What's your philosophy when it comes to character design?
characters, character design. I like to have it diverse. Definitely, it's something, especially in like cartoons, like because I take my inspiration from shows and cartoons and things. Um, I noticed that they're not like the issues is with diversity, and I feel like uh pushing diversity is very good, but also pushing diversity is kind of not very good. And overall, with characters, I feel like the best way to make them authentic is to allow them to have different traits. It's like Sims, if that makes any sense.
And real quick, I'd like to ask, so we're gonna try to do some audience engagement stuff. For the audience
Yippee!
members, name or not name, but give us a small description in the chat of your favorite character that either you like from like a show or something, or that you've made yourself for a tabletop role playing game. And we can talk about those. But to support this, what when you say diversity in characters, what are you referring to specifically?
Um, it can be like diversity in race, diversity in like tone and speaking, diversity in height, gender representation, sexuality, things like this. But it can even go through like diversity of like generally how well, I guess it can also include diversity in like thought and like wellness, if that makes any sense. I
I think
feel like
so. Yeah,
there's yeah, there's very much a 3D spectrum in looking at diversity for each aspect.
I see. So let's start. Let's do some. How about you give us an example of a good character that you think is like good representation of like a fun, diverse character.
Hmm. Let's see if I can remember any in media. I don't know why whenever I think about things like I have a
I know
current
it's really
if
hard.
I
It's
can
like
use like if I can use like a current campaign cuz I obsess I don't know. I feel like having a campaign is like having a fandom of your own that nobody ever talks about.
oh,
But
absolutely.
we we diversified definitely very greatly. I think it's the first campaign where even though there are a bunch of characters, not only do they diversify by like race, like general like D&D race, but they also have culture in them. Like uh like the gods are based off of our old characters, and they definitely have like like real life cultures in them. Let me see if I can find. I
And while you're
there's
doing that,
I
we'll look
hate
at chat for a
searching for
second.
things.
Um,
Yeah, I wanna.
oh wow, okay. Well, we'll start. Nathan, could you expound a little bit on Lionel Johnson from
Oh my
Warhammer
God!
40K?
You're
Uh, because I know Warhammer 40K, I just don't know Lionel Johnson. Um, let's see. Favorite characters comes from the Dimension 20 series. Lord Squawk Erebus, played by Lou Wilson. I know Dimension 20. You know, people may have some
I
criticisms.
love.
I definitely do.
Yeah,
But oh man, their character design, insane, lovely,
I
wonderful.
I think that yeah, I think that Squawk, like Squawk and his cousin, I forgot her name, but I feel like they're the people that I was gonna try and talk about. They're the ones I can never remember their names because I've watched it like a long time ago.
Hmm.
But the diversity in their cast, amazing. I loved. I don't know. It's a whole thing with like breaking stereotypical norms and also being very able to accept them and like you know
Hmm.
I don't know.
Oh, absolutely,
I
yeah. No.
yeah.
I'm afraid I don't have enough background on Dimension 20 to comment too much on it, but yeah. Um, I know they're great. Let's see. Knees. I love this one guy called Merrick Combs. Never heard of him. Um, oh wow, I'd love to meet this man. Anyways, so yeah, okay. Well, let's see. Um, I'm trying to get here to like when you're going about specifically designing a character. Um, what's your process? What's the creative process here?
Um, I usually start with uh either like I don't know. I start with an idea of a character when creating like a player character because that's what I usually play as most. I start with a class, looking at a class that I've never played,
Mhm.
seeing if I can turn that class around or like kind of pull it a little bit. I I know it's really it's not an every TTRPG, but I like to use 5e's like background to like place it and then use like a homebrew version. And then after that I add like I love dice rolling. I love dice rolling for character recreation. So
Mm.
I dice roll everything. Um from like I don't know. Uh from
I can
like
pull up a
race I love
character
like
sheet.
to dice roll.
Yeah, you're talking about like the
Yeah.
bonds and flaws and whatnot, right? For the backgrounds, or do you roll like everything?
I roll like basically everything, especially when I don't know what I'm gonna do. Um, ooh, that looks really cool. Really cool
Ooh,
character.
Thresh. Oh,
Yeah.
League of Legends mentioned what is touching grass. Anyways, so
I mean, League of Legends, I'll give it to them. They have really good character design.
that's true.
Like, I'll give them that. But yeah, touch grass. I'm sorry.
No, okay, all right. We don't discriminate against gamers here in the tabletop role playing game club. But also, I know this guy, so I can make fun of him a little bit. Uh, anywho, um, so okay, I want to talk about the personality traits. Okay, so you roll for like all this stuff. That's pretty cool. Um, oh god. So how do you consolidate that if you're just like rolling on all this stuff? Like how do you go from
I I roll like base stuff. So all of the things that are required, I roll. But if it makes more sense, because if I'll it's really easy for me to start with a backstory. I feel like the backstory is what like really defines like a character or like the habits that I want them to have or like the vibe, especially when like connecting to the campaign or like the thing of the campaign. I mean like it's fine to switch it up, but at the same time you have to have it something like kind of interweaved within like the campaign. So yeah, rolling things isn't gonna work all the time.
Yeah.
But it'll have a good basis, and afterwards you can just kind of like um build off of that base. Uh,
Yeah, that's fun.
I mean,
Let's go into backstory a little bit if you don't mind.
yeah,
Um, how
yeah.
do you approach backstory? And specifically, this is for like a TTRPG character. So, actually, what are some of the pitfalls that people fall into doing backstory stuff for tabletop role playing games specifically? And what would you recommend?
Um, the I feel like the most common one is tropes. Definitely
Hmm.
tropes. Not just falling into them, but completely avoiding them. Because I feel like a lot of people that are like more experienced will hate tropes. Like, it's okay sometimes to be the burnt out, like like dark rogue. Because I mean, like that's what they fundamentally are. You can also break that and also be somebody who's I love candy. I love pink sparkle, and I'm also a rogue. But I feel like a lot of people are too scared to do it, so they kind of waver in this like blank center where they're neither. If that makes any sense.
Okay. So they're trying to be original
Yeah,
by like dodging tropes, but at the same time, they just kind of come off as like nothing because they don't have anything that's like defining the kind
interesting.
of like aesthetic, like interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Um, there is value in playing
yeah.
in straight. That is true as well. Um, let's see. Can I get let's see from the audience? Craziest character backstories go. Just hit us with some wacky stuff. Um, and let's see. So yeah, so you say tropes are good, but also tropes are bad, but also tropes are good. Very cool.
That
Uh,
which is a whole thing. It's a whole thing because it's like a. I mean, I guess everything is kind of in moderation, especially like in TT. I don't
you can just call it
know.
D&D for now, it's fine. But yeah, we try to be
Yeah,
more open for the different. Gotta use the right
yeah.
words, of course.
Presto, silly fingers, the failed street magician turned cat burglar turned arcane trickster halfling. Wait, hold on, what?
Wonderful. Presto,
Oh,
silly
I read that as
fingers.
like they turn into a cat and then they turn into a halfling.
Why not? Why not all
Honestly,
three?
love for a name Wizard Mage. He's a crazy wizard. Oh my god.
That is something
I
that's
remember
kind of
having a
yeah.
one shot.
All right, you can go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry, you go, you go,
Um,
you go.
okay. Referring
I remember
specifically,
having
like,
oh, you go.
okay, we'll talk about chat for a second, then you talk about the one shot. Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
so, um, yeah, like the idea of like a LARPer, that's fun. A wizard mage, crazy wizard who likes to roll dice, challenges fate, very fun. Um, well, okay, the farmer adventure, like the like I need to put my daughter through college or something is like such a like underplayed trope that I love so much. I love it so much. It's so dear to my heart because it's just like it's such a good motivation. I don't know. It's really sweet, and you get to have really sweet moments and stuff. In these kinds of
Yeah.
games, but yeah. So yeah, sure, it may be a trope, but that's a very very good trope, in my opinion, of course. Um, yeah. What you were saying something about a
4 daughters? Dude's gonna be an adventurer for like if he's gonna pay for colleges.
Depends on the game system, but yeah, at least in D&D you can do a you probably do one good dungeon and then pay like years of expenses, but we don't have to worry about D&D
That's
economies.
true.
Uh, okay, there was a topic here. Um, something backstories. And character creation. It's like we talked about backstories. That's pretty good. Touched on it a little
Yeah.
bit. Um, I guess to recap for a moment, you like to you pick like class and archetype or whatever. You roll on stuff to get like an
Yeah.
idea of what's going on randomly, and then we go into backstory and try to flesh out like a nice, cohesive backstory for this individual that goes along with the game world and stuff. So it all kind of fleshes
Yeah.
out together. Um, that sounds pretty good. Is what's how do you interact with other people? Let's say we're at like a table here and we have like a bunch of other
Oh
people.
my god.
How do you like doing yeah, like how do you interact with the other people at the table when you're making your characters?
There's this thing. I don't know if other people do this because I've been in the same like group forever. But we always do blind character recreation, where nobody knows like anything about the character. I was thinking about this thing and I saw this on Instagram, but it's like a rumor sheet where
Mhm.
people make up to like 3 or 4 rumors. Like no, like depending on if like the person is known. I mean, if they're an adventurer, if that's the type of like thing that's going on, but like they would know them. But everyone makes 3 to 4 rumors, and then 1 or 2 are like lies or bad rumors, and then they get randomly distributed within the party so that they have like an inkling of who is who and like whatever knows which. But I feel like personally I'm biased.
Mhm.
Yeah. So uh I really like blind. I love going in blind because not only does it make the story so much richer because you understand other people's stuff, but knowing other people's things beforehand kind of takes out the power in learning like secrets or like little tidbits. Like in the current one, I'm talking a lot about the current one that I'm in. Um, but not we went in blind, completely blind, and uh coincidentally, we all had like similar character tropes where everyone is like has something like deeply rooted in common. And one of the characters is actually a foil of my character, but we didn't know it until the characters were developed. And I feel like that would have been less uh less impactful as a development if we already knew our characters, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does that I think that makes sense. You get some fun surprises. Um, what would you say though for the kind of counter surprises, which are like for instance, in my campaign, we had two individuals who picked opposing deities to worship. This is Theros, so this was Heliod and Erebos, right? And they picked these opposing deities, and we happened to have the first like leg of the campaign was in like Erebos territory, and they had to fight some like riders of Erebos, all this kind of stuff. And there was like nonstop arguing between these two players who were playing their characters about like oh like should we kill these people or just avoid them or like take like because there's all this pride that kind of goes back and forth about what should be done. Um, you think it's good to like you think maybe there's an argument for not doing blind kind of character things so you can avoid like the rogue that loves stealing and the paladin that hates people that steal and personally kills them all.
I mean, I guess, but I would also advocate for blind in that situation. In that situation where there's uh inherent like discourse between the people, I feel like that's like an out of character discussion about like where they want to take the characters.
Hmm.
Because I mean, there's always the discussion of like what my character would do in this moment, but there's also the discussion of is my character doing this making the game fun? Is me wanting this character to do this like good for the campaign, and will it like progress the campaign in a way that everyone will be happy with? And I feel like even if you do talk about something like that in like open character creation, it will always happen. And even if like even if it went in blind, as long as you communicate like thoroughly throughout the campaign, I feel like it could be avoided. uh, and stuff. Oh, how do you deal with PCs that want to be lone wolf?
Hmm.
That is one that we actually came across in my campaign, and it it's again communication. I think very much, because I mean, it poses the question like, if your character wants to be a lone wolf, why? What's their motivation of staying in the party, or like, what what makes the stuff like there? I don't know. Just
From a DM perspective for how to deal with PCs that want to be lone wolves, because I think that the player perspective and the DM perspective are often quite like dissimilar. In this case, with like
yeah,
a player at your table, I know people have been mad at some of my player or other like everyone at the table is mad at one person who's going off and lone wolfing and doing whatever. Um, but there's kind of that like you kind of have to measure as a DM or a GM, um, what your like tolerance is kind of for people doing as they wish. I know that for me, there's always a tendency to like punish them. You're like, oh, well, you can't just be running off by yourself. It's a dangerous world. But also, I think that the honest solution is always going to be just be like, hey, you know, you took an hour last session running off on your own in the woods to catch mice, to feed to a giant snake, and that was really cool. But it's getting on everyone's nerves and all this kind of stuff, and I don't want to have to like kill your character or whatever. But but yeah. Also, alternatively, you could just kill the character, but like that's up to you. Uh, uh, but um, next question in chat, we have any thoughts about lore accuracy for character creation and backstory? I'll let you
hmm.
answer this one.
I think. Well, if it's lore accuracy to the DM's world, that's definitely a DM conversation. But at the same time, it could be like something interesting if you have like a character that, hmm, let's say you have like a deity that loves hating people, but there's like this person that's like, oh, this deity uh gave me life for some like reason, or something of the sort. That could be weaved in. Like some deity that hates like necromancy or like hates things like that can like revive somebody, but that can be like a plot point, right? Like lore. I like to say I like to think that plot holes are just like gossip. It can be filled with gossip. Like can be filled with like juice,
Mhm.
right?
There's
Like
opportunities for change, like changing what the lore is, make things more like because things are often a lot more complex than they appear. So having someone just be like, "Oh, I hate this," and then they do that thing, and all of a sudden it's like, "Ooh, why? Why did that happen?" There's lots of opportunity there. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, that's very interesting and definitely good to think about. Talk to your GM always. If you're making characters, definitely always talk to your GM. But sometimes you can skirt by the lore and whatnot to make an interesting character. Um, Next question we have: as a DM, how much character backstory is the optimal amount?
hmm.
It's a very subjective question. Uh, Personally, I say the optimal amount of backstory is the amount that I read.
That's
So,
so real.
so if I don't read it, it doesn't exist because if I am the GM in this case. So you can write like 8 pages, and I'll tell you that I read the 8 pages, but I didn't read the 8 pages. That's just the facts. So so I think that it's all about like if you're trying to be effective with your backstory for the GM, I think that you want to keep it like to points that can be kind of used in a story or in an adventure or in like a world or whatever. But if you want to make more backstory, you can do it. There's nothing stopping you. But it's mostly going to be for you. It's not going to be for the game for the most part. Um, what are your thoughts on that?
Um, I think that you can honestly write as many as you want, have bullet points at the top for like summary.
That's a good
Cause
idea too.
um if you like because I mean a background can be like really good because especially if you have like holes in your like lore like or like stuff you know
Mhm.
sometimes if a DM doesn't have inspiration they can go to a lore page and be like, hey, I noticed that this didn't line up here, what if I just wiggle something in, or like what if
Mhm.
I can turn this into a new like episode.
Yeah, that's fun. We have another question. Then we're gonna move on to get ready. We're moving on to NPC design, and so
Ooh.
we'll get started on that. But any tips for building your character personality, backstory, etc. if you're a beginner? So where do you start
Oh yeah.
if you haven't done it really before and you want to get into it?
I start with myself. If you're playing somebody, start with yourself because I noticed that that's what a lot of people do anyway. Be very like um self-aware and look at somebody that you know. Maybe not like one for one because that would be really weird. Or like not like one for one and anything, but personality. It's I feel like as a beginner, it's a lot easier to use your own to like to project because then you can start like once you progress in like a character, you can develop them past like the things that you normally would do, and or you can like even just react as you would react. Whereas somebody who's like more into it, who's because it's I noticed that it's difficult for newer players to react in the way that their characters would react, if that makes any sense. So building character personality, backstory, etc. Personality definitely you. Backstory, I say go for it. Um, take inspiration from shows and like things that you like. If you really like things, uh, pull from it. Like, make a barbecue dad if you want to. Make like magical girl like Powerpuff if you really like it. Make like a you know
And I think we were discussing tropes and kind of like, oh, people don't want to follow into tropes, people do want to follow into tropes. I think as a beginner, tropes are like your best friend because they kind of
yeah
because like the reason tropes exist and the definition of a trope really is just something that's worked a lot of times. So if you
yeah
really like everyone's like, oh, I hate when people play the war veteran fighter that just wants a second chance at life. But that's everyone plays that because it's cool and it's fun to play. And usually it's pretty easy to do like, oh, I'm a gruff war veteran, or like, oh, I've been in so many battles you wouldn't understand. Like, yeah, it works. It's easy to play. It's fun usually. It can be overplayed like anything, but yeah, story devices.
yeah
Um, but yeah, I think that's that for the questions here. Let's move on to some NPC design, which is significantly different, but also has a lot of similarities with the player character design. So we'll start with how's it different? How's it different? What are we looking at in terms of design philosophy for an NPC?
definitely it's harder for the DM. I will recognize that because they have to play multiple characters, sometimes even at the same time. Um, it's definitely different because they don't. Well, some I know that some DMs do like make full like character sheets with the whole background and things, but a lot of times they won't be main character. So you have to make them stand out when while not making them like a PC sounding person. If you
Mm,
get if that makes any sense.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Um yeah,
I'd like to
which
ask, real quick,
yeah.
sorry, for
Yeah.
those in
Yeah.
chat, favorite NPCs from anything, and what makes them fun? Like, what's the thing about them that makes them your favorite? And then you can continue. Sorry,
Uh
if you were continuing.
let's yeah. I
Um,
Um, I guess it's not really that different. It's very similar. It's just the, I guess, mechanics that makes it different.
I'd say used or encountered. Okay, so then if it's not so different, what are some good like can you give us like the cliff notes of what the design process for an NPC looks like? Like what are we doing? Like you're sitting down, you're like, I
Hmm.
need to make, three people that the players are gonna run into. What are we doing?
I think we start with purpose, definitely. So if you're gonna build a town, who who's running the town? Who's running, the tavern? Who lives in like neighborhood A, neighborhood B? Well, you don't have to flesh it out that much. You can definitely figure out an NPC based off the environment and like the way that it functions. Um, Definitely, I think, and this is like a huge trip in anime too, where you can tell that they're a main character because they're more detailed.
Hmm.
Um, so from the main people that you know that are gonna be like significant, I feel like it is a useful thing to only like figure out them. Let's see. I don't really make that many NPCs. Um, I use generators and then
Oh, I
work my
see.
way from there.
If you'd like to, you can link some of those in chat for us. Um,
I just yeah.
NPC
Uh,
generator is
I
interesting.
have
Yeah.
I have appearance generators for first. I have appearance and like no bad. There was one that was like super. I like this one. This one. I'll put it. I love this. The other ones I feel like they're very biased. But that one is that one.
Mhm. Okay.
And then I don't know. I don't know. Personally, I love rolling dice and like being like silly about it because I love the mixtures that they can make.
Yeah, randomness is an interesting
Um.
element. I think it's good for creating unique characters, definitely. Um,
Mhm.
how do you make the NPCs? Actually, what level of importance do you put on making NPCs feel like real people or real characters? And if that is
Very.
something, how do you do it? How does one do it?
Making NPCs feel more. I know that there's a word for it, but like making them feel more real. I feel like something that people overlook is quirks in speech and tones. If you use like a lot of people use or a lot. I know one of my friends says huh after every single sentence, which is something that other people do. Yeah, no, he'll talk about something, huh, and then like and then add huh to the end, and I'll be like, because you I don't know, it makes a huge difference if you're speaking, especially if you're seeing one person. It's very um. I can talk about my boyfriend who's my forever DM. Take our quirk, yeah. So a lot of people speak in certain ways and we don't really notice it ourselves or we don't really notice it in our friends because we hear them so often. But when you like hyperfixate on their voice for a while, you'll notice that they you can replicate it much easier because of the dips or the highs in their tone, whether they up talk or down talk, whether they slow during certain sessions or get really fast during sessions. Um Whether they like make like huge pauses or things, um or say
Mhm.
I feel like especially when it's a TTRPG where it's a mostly talking game, fleshing out a character and making them feel real starts with the voice, starts with like how different you portray them in the voice, and then after that it becomes like motivation, I think, which I think is very much in every single, whether it's NPC or PC,
Yeah.
where yeah.
I've had a couple
I feel like
NPCs that I've
yeah.
really liked personally, that I've
Mhm.
made, and I'd say the biggest defining factor has genuinely been like just tone of voice, kind of the situations that they kind of put themselves in the party in, and most importantly, honestly, just like they're like I give them one thing. Like I had one of my favorites was oh god, what was his name? Because we changed his name like four times. But his original name was Stonebeard, and he ran a like a marketplace, and he was always like, "Oh, me boy, yeah, there's nothing better than profits and all this kind of stuff." And he was like giving them jobs and stuff to do. And over time, he kept finding magic items to like weave, like put onto his body, like replace body parts and stuff. Um, and he's like, "Look, I got me beard, me new tech beard," and then he became Tech Beard, and he had like a bunch of
Oh
like
my god.
mechanical stuff in his beard, and everyone loved him. He was one of the favorites. Um, yeah, just like weird, fun stuff to make them like, and also change. I think changing the character over time, especially if they get interacted with over time, definitely like I think it elevates it to a new level of NPC. Um,
Yeah. Um we had an NPC. We had two NPCs that are really impactful in the character development of our character. Um one being like a merchant Grimora, cuz we started out as a group of like murder hobo running from a war. Excuse me. And one of our newer characters was like really threatening to her, and for some reason the other people thought that it was like the best idea to keep her safe was to enslave her.
mhm,
She was like a gnome tinkerer, and we like kept her, and we like even though we were running for a war, and even though I guess in the long term it would have been like the best like course of action, the PCs started forgetting that she was there to the point where we would stop feeding her and we would stop like dressing her wounds and stuff. And our DM Jacob paid like attention to that, and
mhm,
she and then they picked up another one. They forgot about him, and then he had a wound from a battle,
mhm,
and he had an infection that was growing. And one of our characters uh made it was a whole thing. He made the decision because he's a nobleman. He sees higher than everyone else. Decided to shoot him point blank, and it sparked a whole
wow.
like character development between like because my character is paladin of his character starting his like mercy arc and my character starting their vengeance arc, which because they're my foil. Oh my god, it's so cold in here for some reason.
Lucky, shoot. But
It's never
that's crazy. That's a crazy story.
yeah.
Addressing chat, yeah, real what? Oh, that's a great question
Yeah.
actually. Is there such thing as good timing in killing off NPCs? What does that look like?
Hmm.
It's a wild story. Oh my god. Oh man.
It's still ongoing. We ended up freeing her. We ended up freeing Grimora, but then
So that's
now
good.
like the
That's
army's
great.
there, so we have to buy her back.
Why is it
Well,
buying?
this time we're gonna do it.
Why is there so much slavery going on in this campaign?
It's not slavery. It's not slavery this time. I'm gonna hire her, is what I mean.
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
hire her because she's a merchant.
Generally speaking, though,
But they yeah.
I, as a club leader and also as a person, don't condone certain things in D&D
Slavery.
games. But personally, I think it's okay. It's difficult because I'm speaking as like the president here, so it's like club policy versus personal beliefs. Club policy wise, you probably shouldn't be having certain topics in your games. We can't really do much about it, so we don't have like an exhaustive list. But you gotta maintain at least the school like basic school principles and whatnot. Um, But yeah,
Yeah. I don't know if they
we.
would actually call it slavery. It's more like imprisonment.
But yeah, there can be a little
Yeah,
bit
which
of
is also another
brutality or
thing.
whatever. But but yeah, I think if your players start running a full on like business slaving people and selling them, you might want to rethink how you're approaching your game a little bit. But that's
Yeah.
a different topic for a different day. Uh, but yeah, I don't condone it personally, but that's my game. So.
Neither do I. Yeah.
But yeah,
I, I
sometimes
I
parties get
mean,
off the rails. That's kind of how it goes. Um,
yeah.
Sometimes you gotta have a captive for 6 episodes. It just happens. But
Such
yeah,
a good
I
theme.
want to go back to the is there such thing as good timing and killing off an NPC, and more specifically, like honestly, not even just NPCs, just like characters in general. Like how do you deal with killing off characters? Um, do you like make the timing, or do you just like kind of let it happen?
If it happens, it happens. Um, Sometimes, especially, I mean, I'm playing a more like brutal one,
Mhm.
especially because I've been also getting into OSE instead of like 5e,
Mhm.
and it's a big thing where like death is something that you have to deal with, especially when it's real in the game. For games that are more lighthearted, I feel like if it's a really really close NPC that everyone like loves and like cares for, it it depends on how comfortable people are with loss. Definitely. What do you do when a character? Do you make? Yeah, I make a new one. Like I have a whole list. You can just put them in there.
That's a table specific kind of thing, but for D&D in
Yeah.
particular, the general what's it called? I can't remember what it's called, but like the general philosophy around character death has pretty much been for a very long time either revive them somehow or just make a new one. There's a couple of memes about just Beetle the Bard 600 because you just keep making a new one every time he like falls off a cliff or whatever. But
Yeah.
other systems don't take it as lightly, um, but that's just up to the system. Uh, but you know how it goes. It's always different.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. What about like an organization? Like how do you make like an organization in this case is just a group of NPCs with like a level of power between them. Um,
Uh,
but like how do you manage that? Like let's say it's like a house of nobles or like a thieves guild or something. How does the idea behind like designing NPCs change then?
hmm. I guess I mean they still have the same base of purpose. Definitely I think it would definitely be interesting to add more like perspectives in said like organization, even if the organization is like uh we hate this government or like something like that. There can be people who kind of hate the government. There could be people who um hate the government. I want to destroy the government. I want to break down the walls. No government.
Hmm.
But there can also be people that are just there, or even better yet, people who have been born into the organization and don't have any like input on it. Bless you.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Excuse me. Anyways, I'm doing okay. So yeah, okay. Um, Relationships between NPCs and characters are good. I don't have any.
Oh
I was gonna ask like, how do you do relationships? But honestly, it's just like this person and this person have a relationship, and then it's kind of usually it's good for the characters. Yay, woo. Well,
yeah.
thoughts, opinions.
I mean,
Not much to go
I
off,
have
but
another good story.
oh, you do.
I have
Okay.
so many good stories. I love
Hold
having
on,
good
just a
stories. But
second.
currently, yes,
Just a second. This chat, and then we can go into the story. Um,
yes.
There's a bunch of characters like exactly like the same character with partial differences. One of them dies, the other takes its place. That's a way to do it, definitely. Um, that can also be rather funny if you're doing like a comedic kind of campaign, having like I know we have one of my buddies did John J. Johnson and then John K. Johnson and then John L. Johnson and like he had like a bunch he just made like 100 characters that were all like tangentially related in like a weird like family tree situation. And that's always fun to hear about. But yes, Sparky did kill him. It's so funny.
Wait, really?
Yeah, Sparky killed John J. Johnson, I think, originally. And then created the spiral chain of
Which
John Johnsons.
Sparky is the spark to spark the
Oh, you killed John
John
K.
J.
Johnson.
John K.
There's so many. I could pull out the text file that has all of the the family tree in it, but I don't want to. Uh,
Is it like?
wacky stuff, but
Is it?
it's a
That's
lineage. It's a whole
linear.
thing. He spent so much time in that campaign that he decided to. Oh my god.
Did they pass down the arms to each John?
That'd be funny. Aw,
No.
so sad. So sad.
Imagine
Rest
having
in
like a bunch
peace.
of characters that like R.I.P. all the Johns.
Rest in peace, John K. Johnson. We loved you.
Every
Long
single.
live
Imagine
John
having every
L.
single John
Johnson.
having like a piece.
That's horrible. Oh my gosh. Okay, I guess it might be time for story time. I think we covered most of the
The
stuff.
next John's dead of a
Um,
wife.
if you guys have like specific questions, we can go into it. But I think we're just gonna chat a little bit, and then we might call it a little bit earlier. We don't have to do 4 hour sessions every time. This isn't D&D. Anyways. So yeah, I don't even remember.
Oh
Do you
yeah,
remember
I
what your
had
story
a
was?
thing. Yeah. We have in terms of like character relationships, I guess character to character, we have a two PCs in the current campaign, which everyone ships. I'm gonna
Oh
ask you a few
yes.
questions, and you're gonna tell me if they sound gay, if they
Okay,
sound gay
okay.
for each other.
Gay
Okay,
or not,
which
the
is
the
I guess
new
this is
game.
opinionated, gay or not. They have they have snuck off several times. We always have
Mhm.
like a point 0.5 thing where if you want like a point 0.5 like session, you can meet up and it's just gonna be you and the DM. You
Oh,
like
that's
small group
that's
and the DM.
spicy. Okay, continue.
It's always them. It's always them. The two are always in a thing. When me and because this is also the character, I'll just put like a name to it. His name. So one of the characters is Doran Canor, and the other
Mhm.
one is Conrad Mickle Summer, something long, huge, long name.
Okay.
And then my character is Kahe, and Kahe and Conrad headbutt all the time, butt heads.
Mhm.
However, Doran and Conrad are like best buds ever since from the get go. They shared a boat on the first one. They always save each other first. They meet each other in the middle of the night. They write letters to each other. It's like, it's you can call it best buds, but do best buds meet up in the middle of the night to like rendezvous? You know what I mean? They are
I
just
mean,
roommates.
if you think about it, just because they were buried together does not mean that there was anything between them, really. But that's just that's a little bit of sapphic lore for you. Anyways, uh, yeah, it sounds a little spicy. I've never heard of the. I mean, I guess I get the idea of the point 0.5 sessions, but having just you and another person in the point 0.5s is a little spicy, a little. I'd say
It's a
I'd
little
say
spicy, isn't it?
I'd say
They
yeah,
do not.
gay. I'll call it gay.
They do.
Um,
They do not, Sparky. However, because you know why? One of them doesn't. One of them is straight. One of them doesn't want the relationship. However, the other one is pining, but they don't want the relationship.
Oh, I see.
They
See,
like
that's
one of them
character
wants the
interaction.
relationship, the other one doesn't. Because the other one apparently, rumor, has a girl waiting for him back home,
Oh, okay.
which is which is, you know, imagine
Yeah,
what she's gonna react like if she knows that they've been
sneaking around, doing all kinds of
Yeah.
crazy things. Oh, okay. You can have sex, question
No,
mark. Depends, but not in my club. Take it to your weekend games, all right?
not in this
Look, we
club.
don't do no sex in the
Yeah.
Wellman. No sex in the Wellman. That's my rule.
Yeah.
But
Ew.
if you yeah, that is so true actually. For we can go into a deep dive here for a second. Intimacy and sexual orientation are related but not the same. More specifically here, the idea that characters, right, have like varying relationships and what that kind of looks like, especially in like a TTRPG setting. Um, I think the point five sessions are a great opportunity to have these kinds of relationships develop, but it's I think it's kind of hard. How do you even like budget the time? Like how do you have like a relationship between like players and stuff while also running like you're in a game like in this case like Dungeons and Dragons. But like
I think
how do you
definitely
balance all
reaction.
that?
I mean, if the more that people give reactions and the more that people like interrupt each other and excuse me, step in, it'll spark conversation. If
Mhm,
as long as there's conversation, there is like a whole thing. I like point fives. Point fives can happen like right after a session, even as long as you I like we message our DM like beforehand and like
mhm.
schedule out a time right before or right after is.
Okay. And
But
to
yeah,
clarify for people who may not have immediately caught that, the idea behind point fives in general is that you have, let's say you have session, like I do session by number. Um, you start at session zero, which is the usually like a planning session where you guys talk about character creation and world creation and like expectations for the game. And then you go, numbered sessions like one, two, three, four, five, whatever, right? A point five in this case is where you have like session two and then immediately afterwards do like another couple hours or whatever, that's session 2.5. But let's say you don't have all the people or you just want to do like something on the side, like it's like, oh, I want to do a shopping trip but only me and this one other person want to go shopping. Then you could do like a session 3.5, we went off to the shopping district while everyone else was sleeping or something, and then do all that kind of stuff. In this case it's being used for relationship building, which is very interesting actually. But you do all kinds of stuff with a point five session. You do whatever you want, really. Um, just probably don't be
yeah,
killing off characters in the point five.
yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, the general rules we have for the point five is don't make any like significant progress. It's like radius. Oh,
Oh, interesting. Saw this in a JRPG once. I'm curious, but but yeah, I mean, point fives aren't the worst idea. I just don't have any time. I swear, my players are like, please, you wanna? I mean, I would do it. I'd probably do it if they were like, hey, you want to go? You want to just run us doing this one thing real quick? I'd be like, yeah, sure, whatever. I got 4 hours. It's fine. Uh, but definitely fun.
I mean,
Definitely
they
fun
don't really
idea.
take that long.
It would be fun to sit down on one of these moonlight, middle of the lake friendship moment point fives though. That'd be fun.
It's so it's so like they like allude to it so much that everyone in the party wants fan art of them.
Oh
But
my
just
god.
it just
Oh.
doesn't work. Like cuz I make all the drawings for the campaign.
Hmm.
And like I wanted to make fan art of them so bad because I like I have uh accidentally made a playlist
Accident.
for
I accidentally. Oh man.
because it's just like we're on like our first year for the campaign, so
Mhm.
it's
Okay.
it's decently new.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. No, what are they doing on them point fives anyways? Do you
I don't
know?
know. The thing is, nobody else knows until they reveal whatever happened. I mean, I have an in though,
Oh.
because my boyfriend's a
Oh.
DM, but like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
um, so we don't know what they talk about.
Oh, real.
We don't. We
Sorry.
just know because at the beginning of the campaign, the next session. I mean, the beginning of the next session, they'll be like, okay, these two characters come back from this area, and we're like, where did you guys go?
I could see how that's a little
You
spicy.
know? Oh, the Persona
Oh, hey Barry,
series.
how's it
I love the
going?
Persona
Shoot.
series. I play Persona 5.
Yeah, Persona's so fun. I I gave up and like somewhat through Persona 5. Um that's I guess I don't need to talk about that, but no, it's such a long game. That's okay. Uh
Mm.
hey, what's up, Barry? We're not wrapping up, but we're not gonna be here too much longer. But if you wanna chat a little bit, that's totally cool. Um you have a question? Okay,
Oh,
let's hear it. Let's see. What is going on? Oh, I was supposed to remind people. Um, Here, sorry, one just half second. If you haven't done the t-shirt pre-order form thing, please do. We need t-shirt pre-orders and we need money. The brackets on the t-shirts are not kind for orders. But also there's not too many people here, so I'll just make an announcement. Anyways, how do you handle relationships, if at all? We kind of addressed this, but we can definitely address it again. Um, oh, like
like what
marriage
kind
and stuff.
of
Okay.
relationships?
Okay.
Oh, marriage. Hmm.
How do we? How do we do this?
I've I've never actually run into it, which is really odd. Oh,
Oh, okay.
have you? Can I'd really like an example because I
Yeah,
can also,
honestly, I
you know.
haven't had running for the club, there's not much people don't like plan a lot in between, and even if they do, most people aren't like jumping in because like, I have like people that are basically strangers joining my games together. So it's harder
Oh, like
for some of those. Uh, how do you
how do you
plan a
plan a
marriage?
marriage
I
without
can answer
boring
that one
people?
actually, but we'll give it a second here. I nearly killed his wife. Oh boy. Oh yeah, actually, okay. I think we can reframe this question to talk about it in a way that we haven't yet. Um, how do you handle relationships like in like a background, like your backstory?
Oh yeah. Um, planning a marriage. Yeah. Okay. I think. I mean, it's just part of the backstory. If you have a marriage in the backstory, I think a really big question is what happens if your character is gone for years? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
that is actually a really good
Like
point.
if you have a marriage and kids and you just leave, what happens if you leave and then come back? Like what how do people like deal with remarriages or like kids growing up and leaving and or like potentially hating
Okay.
you know?
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing to think about. We have how do you plan a marriage without boring your party? I'll have you know, the best way to plan a marriage without boring the party is to have the party plan the marriage. Quite simple, actually.
That's so real.
We had an impromptu because we had it was like the last session, beginning of the last session. I was like, we have you guys, you get one more, and a big event's gonna happen, and we're not gonna have any more town segments, so you're not gonna be able to just hang around the town anymore. So they, by themselves, they were like, guys, we gotta throw a giant concert in the tavern. for all the people because we helped them so much, and we gotta show that we support them and all this kind of stuff. And they used a bunch of spells, and they threw stuff everywhere. And I was just like, I don't care about rules, just do whatever you want. We're gonna throw gigantic like and they also had these like this powdered like it's not drugs, but like pixie dust kind of stuff that they were saving for a rainy day to trade for like magic items or something, and they just used it for the festival thing that they made. Yeah, not drugs. They threw it over the whole
Yeah, I love how you just
crowd,
have to specify
and and it was an amazing time.
when they spike
And
the guest.
but yeah, definitely don't be planning a marriage yourself as a GM. Are you kidding me? Especially if it's within the party, or even out, like if it's like, oh, player A is marrying someone, or player B, or player A is marrying an NPC. Don't be planning that. Just let them do it. They're in the marriage. They have to plan the thing. They have to figure out where they're doing it, what's happening, all that kind of stuff. You can definitely plan to mess it up if you want, but I wouldn't be putting too much effort into that. We have a question. Can it be hard to change a character when they're killed off since you're emotionally invested? Emotional investment in your characters. How do we feel about that one? Um,
Yeah. I I'm so emotionally invested in all of them, especially the ones that I've the most. Where it's really hard. It's really hard to change a character. It's really hard to change from char- character to character. However, it's also really easily it's really easy to get emotionally invested into another character, you know? It sometimes I don't know. It's a whole entire like philosophy of like realizing that, a character if it's not going to end like nothing is going to end like smoothly. And sometimes death is a nice end. Even if it wasn't like good or something, it'll help like propel the story, propel the party, and I think it's beautiful in its own way.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That
but
was
it's
that was eloquently put. Yeah. The short answer, yeah.
thank you.
Even as a GM, characters that I like that get ignored, I get upset about. So it's like,
Oh yeah.
it's just rough. It's a rough time out here. But no, I made this guy called Roro, and he was so fun, and his whole thing was like, um, I completely forgot what I was saying, but he was really cool in my head. And then most of the party liked him, but one of the party members was like, "I'm gonna kill you next time I see you." So then I had to like remove him because I didn't want him to die. So, um, does how the character died affect investment in a new character? I'll say yeah, probably. I don't know. It wouldn't
Hmm.
happen to me personally. I don't die in my games, so you know.
Oh, voluntary PvP. That's a question. PvP in general.
That's really like complex idea. Actually, I do have a story for this one though, because not to
Ah,
do
yes,
too
I would
much
love
of
to
my
hear.
stories, but I had a player that said outright multiple times during the game, if everybody just gangs up and kills me, I'm okay with that. Just like repeatedly. And that was used as an excuse to do things that were very counter to what the story was progressing to and what the other players wanted to do. So I wouldn't say it was the best for like the game, but I think that like that person was not invested in their character very much. And so they use that as an opportunity to make a really out there kind of idea for like an evilish character in a pretty it was a pretty evil game, but it wasn't that evil, you know? Um but yeah, I do
I
agree with
mean,
Barry also.
yeah.
But you can talk on this if you want.
I mean, if your player doesn't want to play that character anymore, feel free to scrap them. If you don't feel passion in playing a character, scrap them.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, I
Mm,
think that yeah, I think that the sentiment that voluntary PvP making a party not really work very well anymore is kind of accurate. Um, but it's just I know we hate to do it, but sometimes you have to have those conversations with your players about like, look, stop fighting each other. You know, the kids are fighting again. It's like, come on. We're here to play a game, and you have to set expectations, all that kind of stuff. But and like some PvP makes sense. And also, this is of course forgetting about the exceptions. Like, oh, it's the end of the campaign, and finally, like these ideological differences in the party are coming to a head. So now you have like a dramatic PvP finale thing, and you have people die, and then everyone's like, "Oh my god!" And then, but then by that point, the whole point is that it's over. So now it's over. Um, but yeah, I mean, push comes to shove,
yeah.
usually, if you decide to fight your whole party, you're gonna die. And that's just like game balance, usually. The double dragon ending. Yeah. I've thought about it. I thought it almost happened last time, actually. We were close.
I think
But yeah.
one of our old PCs left. One of our like old character like our old players left, and I think insight from me because I'm the DM pet. Uh, I think he got turned into a villain.
Nice. That's awesome.
We don't know yet, but I think he did.
That's pretty cool. That's very cool.
I don't know. Uh,
Let's see. Yeah, there's lots of different ways to go about PvP and killing characters and all kinds of stuff. Um, I think the best general advice, though, for just those, especially like newer players or whatever, just don't worry about it. Like, I think that, especially when it comes down to character death and NPC death and all that kind of stuff, if you have any kind of experience at your table, or like experienced people at your table or whatever, usually they can handle those kinds of things. Or if like the GM just wants to tell like a specific story or whatever, just kind of let go with the flow, let things kind of happen. You don't have to like like I don't know, plan out like a character death or like I want my character to die here. You don't have to do any of that kind of stuff. Most of the time we don't. Most of the time it's just like, oh, I accidentally fell in a pit trap and
yeah,
exploded, and now the character's dead, and that sucks. That's for D&D though specifically. Um, but
yeah,
like, don't worry about it too much. And if it happens, you're gonna be upset probably, and that's life. But if you're playing a game, tabletop role playing game, where the expectation is that there's a risk of death, and then you die, it's just part of the game. But yes, definitely
yeah,
cry,
definitely.
cry for 6 hours in your bedroom, and then do a like candlelight vigil, and then have everyone else be crying with you, and then be sobbing over your next character sheet. Like that's totally cool. Uh, you just gotta write it out sometimes. It happens.
Yeah. I mean, recently I had a character die in a OSC one, which OSC terrible. First level terrible. You have like 3 HP and everything does 500 like HP damage. Yeah. I've never Do you play first level characters in your campaigns or is
I
like
I use first
or is
level
cuz I feel
as
like
like torture. I use I use
oh
first
my
level to
god, yeah.
make people upset with me. I don't run first level
Yeah.
expecting things to be fun, though I know it can be. Best death of your
Test
character.
death.
I have one, but
Hmm.
I'll let you go first. I've been talking a lot.
I haven't actually died. But there was one time that I think my character went out and that was from fighting rat. This is really recent, but we were fighting rats in a sewer, and my character is like a homebrew class
Mhm.
that the faster that you are, the more damage that you do, and we were battling this huge guy. So I was going like 200 feet per like turn, which is
Mhm.
like insane, like when you think about it. And they blew up the water, and I got launched straight down into like a huge pit, like of like uh sewage, and like died.
Oh,
Like not like died, but like passed out died.
yeah,
But that was, I don't know, that was really insane because
that's crazy.
everyone, yeah, it's insane being so fast as a character. I love being so fast as a character. I'm never fast in real life. And then you have like the literal Flash.
Yeah. I
What
have
about you?
one. Well, okay, I'm gonna tell the story of one of my players. Wait, no, okay, never mind, never mind. It doesn't count. Best death of a character. Ravenloft, D&D 3.5, Barbarian. Inflicted with Lycanthroper. The the party decided to set up like I don't remember what level it was, and I was kind of young at this point in time, but it's legendary. Um, they decided to set up one of the portable fortress magic items on like a small island in the middle of a lake, and we got attacked by like fish people and also werewolves at the same time, and the fortress was supposed to like defend us, but it ended up using it as like a battleground, and they were fighting each other, and they were fighting us, and all of those spellcasters like escaped, right? But they left me and another player in the fortress with all of the enemies, and then it was a full moon, so my character turned into a lycanthrope, like a werewolf, and and then everyone got out but my character because he was stuck as a werewolf fighting like fish people until he eventually bled out on the ground. It's so sad. Um, because he turned back into he was like a half werewolf, so he didn't get the full regeneration powers. And
Oh,
then when he turned back into a person, he didn't have the rage bonuses anymore, and he just kind of it was rough.
it's amazing. R.I.P.
Yeah. Um, yeah, D&D was originally a skirmish game. It was a war game like Warhammer 40K or the other ones. And yeah, you're supposed to run like 5 or 6 characters at the same time, and as like a unit or whatever. And then eventually one of them would get to high level or something, but otherwise it's just they just die or whatever. All right. I think this has been definitely fun. I think we're gonna start wrapping it up. So everyone get your last questions in and whatnot. It's getting a little on the later side. Oh no! Grappled the boss
No.
next to their magic nuke to force them to turn it off. They did not turn it off. That's so sad.
Estimate. Did, I mean, I guess
Rest
it
in
didn't work.
peace. Rest in peace,
I was
Sylvie.
about to say, did it work? And then,
Did it work? No, it didn't. uh,
mm,
yeah. That just depends on
I've
the
been,
game, you
yeah,
know?
I've been,
So, some games, the best experiences for character death is when you just send them off to retirement and they die of old age. That's just how it is.
yeah,
My best character death was that one time that he just retired and then lived a normal life. Oh, when do we play? Well, you see, you're in the right place, the Discord server. People play at all sorts of times. However, the official time is 6 to 10 p.m., Wellman Hall on Fridays. Be there or be square. Otherwise, if you look in the, what's it called again specifically? Hashtag, hashtag game advertisements. Here, tons of games going on all the time. Um, the some games run on like Saturdays and Sundays, some games run late, some games You can't be in Wellman past around 10:30, so be wary of that. But otherwise, if you are too lazy to look through game advertisements, just go to good old Looking for Game channel, which is right here. I just have to check the exact names of these things. And just say like, hey, any games open? I want to join in. And then there's usually stuff going on all the time. My game actually has openings right now. We lost like 4 people. So, if you guys
Oh
want to,
no.
it's just scheduling stuff, man. I attract a lot of the like graduate students and stuff, and then they just like have papers due and all that, so it's hard. Um,
Mm.
my games are hardcore. We do cool stuff. Um, and they're not hardcore. I mean, not really. We did one hardcore game, and it turned into a story-based RPG, basically. So, well, I know some games start later, not at just 6. I know like Sparky starts at 7 usually, but yeah, there's that too. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun, guys. Let's see, is there anything else that we're doing here? Oh, that's right. I was linking hashtag looking for group, looking for group. There it is. Boom. There. Go there. Very good. But yeah, I think that's pretty good for tonight. Thank you all very much.
Yeah.
This has been Learn to Dragon 4
Thank you for
Masters
having
of
me.
Lore. Um, oh yeah, thanks for coming on. This was lots of fun. If you want, we will definitely
Yeah.
we'll post this to the YouTube. Well, no, we're posting it to the YouTube, whether you like it or not.
Yippee!
Haha, you signed up for it. Um,
Yeah.
and,
I did sign up.
and yes, your soul is ours. And yeah, we'll be doing more of these.
Yippee!
Well, maybe not this year, but next year. I I I don't know if I planned another one. I don't think I did. But if everything else falls
I
through, we'll definitely be doing
finally
another one.